Hi, I'm Mike Cherniffsky, and you're listening to This Podcast is Uncalled For. All right, hi everybody. Welcome to the podcast. This is an episode I don't know if I really wanted to do this episode, but I feel like it's my duty to do it. So that's what I'm going to do. We are going to talk today about this Project 2025 thing. For those of you fortunate enough not to know about this, basically, if a certain convicted felon were to regain the presidency, this is what he has in mind. Translation, we're pretty well screwed if this ever happens. All right. And I'm not just talking from a political, from the political opposite perspective, even though I am politically opposite of this guy. For those of you who have not been listening to the podcasts or skipped over the political stuff, I am a registered Democrat, have been my whole voting life. My politics are pretty progressive. You know, I supported Bernie Sanders in 16 and again 20. I've pretty much voted Democrats every single presidential year since '96, so since Clinton's second term. Living in Kansas, I have experienced the horror show to a smaller degree that this 2025 nonsense would bring, because that's pretty much what Brambakistan was. You know, tax cuts for the wealthy, which, by the way, almost destroyed the state, and a desire to push Christian nationalism on everyone. All right. Full disclosure, this is my second attempt at doing this particular episode. The first time just ran really, really long, based solely on the Wikipedia on this. So for this go around, I'm going to go with something a little more digestible, and found such an article with the BBC. So dated June 11, 24, Project 2025, the Trump presidency wish list explained by Mike Wendling of BBC News. So we can trust the BBC. So as usual, when I read stuff from the internet, I'll pause if I need to insert something, and we will go from there. So, President Joe Biden's Democrats are mobilizing against a possible governing agenda for Donnie. We know who I'm talking about. If he is elected this November. So, before I continue, it is important to point out that at the time of this recording, Donnie has been convicted of 34 felonies, in the state of New York. There's a lot of shenanigans going on with the other felony cases against him, but New York, they got shit done. He has not yet been sentenced. He won't be sentenced for another couple of weeks. But I guarantee you that either jail time or home imprisonment are very much on the table. Personally, I want to see the son of a bitch in jail for a very long time. And yeah, that he needs to see the inside of a jail cell because he came close to destroying the country. He proved himself to be a traitor to his country. Not to mention, he was just terrible as president. All right. And let's not forget, he lost the popular vote 2 elections in a row. He will lose the popular vote again because, frankly, Donnie, nobody wants you around except for your crazies. All right. And I'm sick and tired of hearing he's being persecuted, and the judges are liberally biased. The media is liberally, but to quote Jim Carrey in the movie Liar Liar, "Stop breaking the law, asshole." All right, back to the article. So the blueprint's called Project 2025 and produced by the Conservative Heritage Foundation is one of several think tank proposals for Donnie's platform. Over more than 900 pages, that's a lot of pages, it calls for sacking thousands of civil servants. Remember, this is a British publication, so to translate into American, a lot of civil servants are going to get fired. Expanding the powers of the presidency, dismantling the Department of Education and other federal agencies, and sweeping tax cuts. What did I just say about tax cuts? How they almost destroyed the state of Kansas? And that's all Republicans know how to talk about, frankly, is, we got to cut taxes. They've been talking they talked about that shit since 1980. All right. Okay, I get it. Taxes were corporate taxes were 70% at the time. They've been as high as 90% with a Republican president, Eisenhower. All right. Nowadays, good luck getting it to 30%, and good luck getting some of these corporations to pay taxes at all. All right, and that's problem number one with the economy is we keep cutting taxes for the wealthy and screwing people like myself and likely you, middle class, working class people, the working poor, who are just stuck with having to pay more taxes because the wealthy aren't doing so. All right. The Heritage Foundation unveiled its agenda in April of last year, and liberal opposition has been ramping up as opinion polls show a tight race between President Biden, Democrats, and former President Donnie, Republican. It is common for Washington, D.C. think tanks to propose policy wish lists for potential governments in waiting. The liberal Center for American Progress, for example, was dubbed Barack Obama's ideas factory during his presidency. But on Tuesday, so a couple of weeks ago, California Congressman Jared Huffman announced a Stop Project 2025 task force. Amen, Congressman Huffman. Mr. Huffman said, quote, "Project 2025 is more than an idea. It's a dystopian plot that's already in motion to dismantle our democratic institutions abolish checks and balances, chip away at church-state separation, and impose a far-right agenda that infringes on basic liberties and violates public will. We need a coordinated strategy to save America and stop this coup before it's too late. Bravo, sir. Bravo. All right. I want to talk about separation of church and state, but I will go and wait until it pops up in the article, or if it doesn't pop up in the article, I will bring it up at the end. All right. Moving on. So Heritage said Mr. Biden's party was scaremongering with, quote, an unserious, mistake-ridden press release. House Democrats are dedicating taxpayer dollars to launch a smear campaign against the united effort to restore self-governance to everyday Americans, says Kevin Roberts, the foundation's president. Under the Biden administration, the federal government has been weaponized against American citizens, our borders invaded, and our institutions captured by woke ideology. Pause. This jackass is talking nonsense. All right. Which you kind of expect from people of that persuasion. So, weaponized against citizens. Again, Donnie broke the law, and he is being held to account for that. If we're going to talk about the terrorists who attacked the Capitol, 1/6/21, they broke the law and are being held to account for that. If that's what you call if you call weaponization the holding of these people accountable, well, fuck you. Simple as that. We'll get to the other stuff if it pops up, but just overall, just fuck you, pal. All right. The Project 2025 document, which I will not read. If you want to torture yourself, go ahead and read it for yourself. But the document outlines 4 main areas to restore the family as the centerpiece of American life, dismantle the administrative state, defend the nation's sovereignty and borders, and secure God-given individual rights to live freely. It is one of several policy papers for a platform broadly known as Agenda 47. So called because, God forbid, if this jackass were to be re-elected, he would be 47th president. It's bad enough he's staying at 45. I do not want this guy anywhere near the White House ever again. All right. He belongs in a jail cell, not in the White House. Heritage says Project 2025 was written by several former Donnie appointees and reflects input from more than 100 conservative organizations. And here's an outline of several key proposals. All right, here we go. Government. Project 2025 proposes that the entire federal bureaucracy, including independent agencies such as the Department of Justice, be placed under direct presidential control, a controversial idea known as unitary executive theory. In practice, that would streamline decision-making, allowing the president to directly implement policies in a number of areas. The proposals also call for eliminating job protections for thousands of government employees who could then be replaced by political appointees. The document labels the FBI as, quote, a bloated, arrogant, increasingly lawless organization, and calls for dramatic overhauls of this and other federal agencies, including eliminating the Department of Education. Okay, let's talking about that again. Stop breaking the law, asshole. All right, you don't want the FBI on your case. You don't want the Department of Justice on your case. Then don't break the fucking law. No, you're not above the law. No one in this country is above the law. We don't have fucking kings in this country. All right, we divorced ourselves from the UK because the founding fathers knew what it was like to live under a monarchy. They felt it was tyrannical, and England at the time had a crazy person as the monarch, and they fought for their independence. We're tired of sending our tax dollars over to the UK. That should be right here in the colonies, and we're going to start our own country. And they fought for their rights. All right. The founding fathers would be appalled by this. All right. They intentionally put a lot of power in that. They intentionally set up the separation of powers, the legislative, executive, judicial. Right. Under the executive, no, there's a lot's going on. Yeah, that's true, but you're talking about firing people who are career government employees who know what the fuck they're doing, by the way, and replacing them with know-nothing hacks. All right. So, again, you don't want the Department of Justice or the Federal Bureau of Investigation after you. Stop breaking the law, assholes! Next point, immigration. Increased funding for a wall on the U.S.-Mexican border, one of Donnie's signature proposals in 2016, is proposed in this document. However, more prominent are the consolidation of various U.S. immigration agencies and a large expansion in its power. Other proposals include increasing fees on immigrants and allowing fast-tracked applicants for migrants who pay a premium. And it shows a picture of Donnie's very poorly constructed border wall, no, terrible idea. Terrible idea. All right. There should have never been a wall built in the first place. Especially not one as shoddily put together as what Donnie tried to do. And certainly a special fuck you to the governor of Texas, who puts basically wires and blades in the Rio Grande River. This is not a state issue. This is a federal issue, and should we do a better job of enforcing immigration policy? Yeah, probably, but putting up walls around the country, that ain't the way to do it. We're a country of immigrants. I don't know if y'all knew that, but unless you are Native American, odds are your ancestors came here as immigrants. So what's the attitude? I got mine. Fuck y'all. You can't have yours. And let's not forget there may be legitimate reasons that they're coming to this country. All right. Absolutely legitimate reasons. And by the way, if they're here legally or not, they're still paying taxes. Newsflash for some of these idiots. With my very first podcast, we had an immigration lawyer on, and he said, if they're here legally or not, the first thing we tell them is pay your taxes. All right? So immigrants are paying taxes. They are contributing to American society, whether they're here legally or not. And shame on you for taking this approach. And honestly, immigration is not as big a problem as the right would have you think it is. All right? That's just the truth. All right. Next up, climate and economy. The document proposes slashing federal funding for research and investment in renewable energy. It calls for the next president to, quote, stop the war on oil and natural gas. Carbon reduction goals would be replaced by efforts to increase energy production and security. The paper sets out two competing visions on tariffs and is divided on whether or not the next president should try to boost free trade or raise barriers to exports. But the economic advisors suggesting that second Donnie administration should slash corporate income taxes, abolish the Federal Reserve, and even consider a return to the gold standard. Let's talk about climate first, okay? It is 100 degrees today on the day I'm recording this. It's so hot that I had to cut my DoorDash activities a bit early. Okay? That's how hot it was today. We had, last year alone, we had several days over 100 degrees. All right? Okay? Climate change is real. Another example from last year that I can give, last July, actually July 2023, there was something, for some reason I had to go up to the office, and in order for me to go to the office, I got to go through downtown, right? Well, when I hit downtown, it is a big rainstorm, winds going really, really fast. There's like a couple instances the wind and the rain were so bad I thought I was going to die driving. All right. That should not be happening around here. Climate change is real. All right. It's the oil companies have been lying to us since at least the 70s about the impacts of burning gasoline and stuff. Now, I'm glad we were starting to curtail, so that, in fact, Kansas has been leading the country in wind production. Yeah, I know Donnie's going to complain about, oh, windmills, they kill the birds, and the noise causes cancer, and your property values will plummet. I don't know about you, but I have two nieces and a nephew. The oldest is going to be turning 12 here in just a few days. And the youngest is 6. I want these kids to have a future. And in order to do that, we need to address the climate. I'm guilty of this. I drive a car that is powered by gas. If I do get the opportunity, I would love to convert my car to electric. Do my parts to be able to do my job at the same time being part of the solution, not part of the problem. All right. If we keep going down this road that they're suggesting, burning more oil and fossil fuels, we might not survive as a species. Okay? The time to act on this is now. All right. That includes, not just going to electric cars, but increasing and improving public transit. Buses are not going to be the answer here. They can be part of the answer, but they're not really. Because buses have a certain stigma to them. I'm glad the streetcar is being extended. I'm glad that first extension is going to be open by this time next year. All right. And I want to see it further extended. I want to see metro-wide rail. All right. I think that's going to cut back on the carbon emissions significantly. All right, because let's be honest, transportation is a major contribution to the climate change that we are experiencing. So the time to act is now. We can't go back or even continue with what we've been doing. Okay? Enough. As for the economy, going back to the gold standard, that's insanity. That's fucking insane. All right. So is cutting corporate taxes, which, again, some companies aren't paying corporate taxes at all. And a lot of wealthy people are dodging even their income taxes. All right. If you're listening to this, odds are you're not making that much money as it is, and you're just getting killed by income tax. Okay. Income tax is supposed to be a progressive tax, meaning that the less you make, the less you're supposed to pay into it. The more you make, the more you're supposed to put in. And don't get me started on flat taxes either, because that ain't going to work. And yeah. So, move on. Next up, the only issue that's the right consistently campaigns about: abortion. Project 2025 does not call for a nationwide abortion ban. Bullshit. However, it proposes withdrawing the abortion pill mifepristone from the market. Yeah, I don't buy that. I don't buy that because that's about the only thing the certain people on the right, especially the crazy religious types, that's the only thing they ever talk about is abortion. And to which I rebut with the late great George Carlin. Why is it that most of the people who are against abortion are people who want to fuck in the first place? And that he further stated, and this is the quote I hope y'all take away from this: they're not pro-life, they're anti-woman. It's as simple as it is. Anti-woman. Moving on. So, tech and technology. So, under the proposals, pornography would be banned, and tech and telecoms companies that facilitate access to such content would be shut down. The document calls for school choice and parental control over schools, and takes aim at what it calls, quote, woke propaganda. It proposes to eliminate a long list of all laws and federal regulations, including sexual orientation, diversity, equity, and inclusion, gender equality, abortion, and reproductive rights. Okay, so let's start there. So, ban on pornography. So, if you've been a regular listener to this podcast, you know that I am a naturist, also known as a nudist, and a lot of naturist and nudist content is sometimes mistakenly classed as pornography. If pornography would be banned, then it would also unintentionally ban non-sexual nudity from the internet, and I think that I think that's wrong, but it really has no place in schools in the first place. Certainly not K through 12. Now, that said, I do have a huge problem with the idea of school choice. So, school choice, let's call it what it is, voucher programs. The idea is you're given a voucher, and you take that money and you take it out of the public school system and send your kids to private schools, or most likely parochial schools, Catholic schools in particular. Now, because it's a religious institution, they can indoctrinate the kids into religion. I don't know if they want to indoctrinate them into Catholicism, as most of these wacko ideas come from the evangelical movement, and evangelicals and traditional Christians traditional Catholics especially, don't really mesh, because they have a distorted idea. I'm talking about evangelicals now, of what Jesus was all about. Jesus would be all about the quote woke propaganda that these idiots are complaining about. Terms they want to give up: sexual orientation. Are you gay? Are you straight? Are you transgender? Bisexual? That sort of thing. Taking aim at the LGBT community. That's wrong. All right. I consider myself an ally of the LGBT community. LGBTQIA plus, whatever. But I'm an ally of that community. I myself am not gay, but I will defend their rights to choose whatever they want to do. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're getting to race here. They want to keep being racist towards African Americans, towards Hispanics increasingly, to a lesser degree towards Asians, and of course Native Americans, and that's wrong too. That's wrong too. They gender equality, again, they're not pro-life. They're anti-woman. Reproductive rights, once again, they're not pro-life. They're anti-woman. They claim to want to be Christians, but frankly, the version of Christianity they want to peddle does not jive with my understanding of Christianity, or with the idea of Jesus Christ himself. Jesus Christ was a goddamn hippie. Excuse my language, but he would walk into one of these evangelical churches if he were to come back, and we all know that's not going to happen. It's all storytelling and everything. He would walk into one of these churches and say, "Cast thee out of my sight, you hypocrites! Thou knowest nothing of my work." All right, he was all about the social justice and helping those who are downtrodden and everything, which so-called Christians would latch onto that message at the very least. Because you're not just being Christian, you're being Christ-like. All right. So these same pseudo Christians, they're complaining about Taylor Swift uh, backing non-conservative candidates. She first went political in 2018 for the gentleman who was running against Marsha Blackburn in Tennessee, who is for those of you fortunate enough not to know who that is, she's one of these right-wing crazies. And she said her reasons is because she votes against women, So, and couple of that, she's paying her crews really, really well on the Eras Tour. To the let's just call it life-changing amounts of pay for those crews. All right, and good on her for doing that. She's a billionaire; she can afford to do that, and donating to various charities, especially food pantries. So I would argue that Taylor Swift acts more Christian than a lot of these Christians. In fact, I would also argue she acts more Christ-like than a lot of these Christians, or who claim to be Christian but clearly don't know this first fucking thing that Jesus taught. All right. So I would suggest to these guys reread that Bible, and especially pay attention to the Gospels according to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. All right, step away from the Old Testament, and certainly stay the fuck away from the Book of Revelation. That was written on a fever dream, and hopefully will not happen. All right. And certainly there will be no second coming of Christ. Once you're dead, you're fucking dead. All right. Let's wrap up this article. All right. The Heritage Foundation is one of the most influential of a number of think tanks that has proposed policy papers designed to guide a possible second Donnie presidency. Since the 1980s, Heritage has produced similar policy documents as part of its Mandate for Leadership series. Project 2025, backed by a $22 million budget. This being a British publication, tells us what would be in pounds, and that 17 million pounds. Also sets out strategies for implementing policies beginning immediately after the presidential inauguration of January 2025. Donnie has endorsed a number of the Project 2025 ideas in his speeches and on his website, although his campaign has said the candidate has the final say on policy. Many of the proposals will face immediate legal challenges if implemented. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And the article didn't talk at all about separation of church and state, so I will, because that's an important part here. So these same jackoffs want to say, "Oh, there's no separation of church and state." I would strongly disagree with you on that. And where better to point that out than in the United States Constitution itself, specifically Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That first part, let me repeat that again. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibit the free exercise thereof. Yes, most Americans are Christian. I will grant you that. But we're supposed to be a secular government, as clearly stated in the First Amendment. That's so that Jefferson was very clear on. Jefferson, if you're unfamiliar, wrote his own version of the Bible and took out all of Jesus' miracles. I'd like to read that Bible, to be completely honest with you. Not everyone in this country is Christian, all right? There's a sizable Jewish population. There are a lot of Muslims who live in this country. All right? I know they're pissed off at Muslims because of stuff that went down over 20 years ago. Muslims have as much rights to be in this country as Christians do. In fact, I would argue, I would argue any religious extremism is bad. It doesn't matter if it's Christian or Muslim or Jewish. Extremism is bad. Right? And this project reeks of Christian extremism. All right. They want to take that next step and make it illegal to be anything but a very narrow type of Christianity. All right. To hell with what Jesus actually taught, but just act in Jesus' name as though the batshit backwards stuff that you're proposing would be okay with Jesus. Again, thou knowest nothing of my work. Get Cassidy out of my sight, you hypocrites. And the Founding Fathers would be appalled by this. Right? Not just, we have Christians, we have Jews, we have Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, Sikhs, Wiccan, neo-pagans, non-religious, agnostics, atheists, all living together in one country. And I think we've done a pretty damn good job of it over the past 200 plus years. I would like for us to continue to do that. So, wow. Got all that in just a fraction of the time it took the first time I tried to record this, which would have taken hours and hours. So, thank you to the BBC for that article, and thanks to you for listening and hearing my thoughts on Project 2025. Let's make sure this does not become reality. Let's hope for a ruling that puts Donnie Dumbfuck in prison or in home confinement for a very long time. And let's hope that enough voters recognize that you can't have a criminal running this country. All right. Biden has his faults, but compared to Donnie, he's done a hell of a good job running this country and making us respected once again on the world stage. All right. Donnie was a laughing stock. And my foreign listeners, I certainly get it. All right. The only good thing Donnie did was get that tyrant of a governor out of our state. All right. Well, remember to vote in November. And I will talk to y'all next time. Hopefully on something a little less passionate. This This podcast is Uncalled For, is hosted, produced, and edited by myself, Mike Chernevsky. Opening music is Iron Bacon by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons, Attribution 4.0 license. The outro music is It's Dark and It's Rural by Gagny Sharkoff. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 International License. You can find this music at freemusicarchive.org.
If you are in the United States or Canada, you can call us at 816-832-5160. Leave your message or question for us, and if we like it, we will play it on the podcast. Please support the podcast and purchase our exclusive Uncalled For merchandise. T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and so much more. Go to www.cafepress.com/uncalledforpod. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.